So, you know, a lot of breakthrough, new developments with fabric every season, and with the new demand that's happening, we're finally able to make a lot of products that weren't available, that now are, and people can make their entire garments out of it. Just to kind of show you guys, and of course the fashion show will really show off some things, but there's everything from, you know, a more let's go out on the town kind of a polo, real, you know, more of a Rasta style, everything too. This is more of a higher end corset made with hemp silk and hemp tinsel blend.
They make that one in men's, right?
We could probably get your size.
Good.
Yeah. And some of the newest things on the market, this is actually a company that if you shop at Whole Foods, you'll see these in Whole Foods this coming holiday season. Hemp socks to men's ties. You know, it's across the board. Whatever you're looking for, it may not be that easy to find it quite yet. We're getting there, but it is out there. You just have to look for it and search online. Call the HIA. They'll, you know, direct you to somebody that can let you know where to find what you're looking for.
It's definitely going mainstream. I love the new hemp bamboo combinations that we're seeing as well. Beautiful mixture of these environmentally friendly fabrics, and it's becoming so much more important. Thank you so much, Summer. That was great. We look forward to the fashion show at 3 p.m. Come on by or stick around after Rick Steves for the great fashion show. Donnie Wirtshafter, why don't you tell us a little bit about some good news that's been going on? You told me a bit of bad news going on in your life this morning. Let's hear some good stuff.
Okay, I'm just thinking about how it could have been. You know, the powers that be took industrial hemp away from us in the 1930s so they could make us dependent on the tit of petrochemicals. And you know, if they hadn't have made this environmental sabotage blunder, you know, we'd still be here protesting something. But at least we wouldn't be in a plastic tent. and the chairs we're sitting on would be made out of hemp. And the ropes that they're holding up the tent, they'd all be hemp. And you know, how many of you are wearing hemp clothing today? The Hempfest? Hey, that's better. Every year we get more hands. But you know, the rest of you, it's all out there. You can catch up, get hip today. You know, go find your fashion out there because you got lots of choices. I work with Hemp Oil Canada. I was pretty much the first person to say, hey, you can eat hemp. This was back in
10,000 years ago.
8,000. This was back in 1990 when hemp was pretty forgotten, and the only way that you could get hemp was at the bird food stores. And we wrote the Hemp Seed Cookbook in 1990 and started promoting hemp foods, and then I started selling the book and hemp seeds together because I was doing a disservice to separate them. And then we started selling hemp seed oil and hemp clothing and twine and had 800 by hemp. That worked good until the federal government cut off our lines of supply. It's really hard to do business overseas. I'm sure Summer and her mother tear their hair out about having to work in a foreign language, deal with foreign currency, try to get stuff imported by a container, you know, that takes 6 months to get to you, dealing with customs, dealing with financing of all of it. It's a nightmare trying to work overseas. So in 1998, they really cut us off. That was the year that we got hemp and ale on the Air Force One and embarrassed the president. It was the year that military soldiers started saying, oh, I'm failing these urine tests because I'm eating hemp seed products. And so there was a big crackdown. The DEA told me that my merchandise was now a Schedule I controlled substance, and if I didn't dispose of it at outrageous landfill fees, and we're talking a couple $100,000 worth of merchandise, that was enough to give me the death penalty. And so with the help of HIA and Vote Hemp and attorneys like David and the financial support from companies like Dr. Bronner's, we were able to define industrial hemp as outside the jurisdiction of the DEA. Once these products are made overseas, you can bring them in without harassment. So we're safe for now, but we can't make it here. And so the whole effort, what all of us are working on, is to try to get our farmers to be able to grow hemp here so that we can create the jobs here to process this stuff into all the products we need. Where we're going to see it first, after all these years looking at all these things, paper, which I thought was going to be the easiest, is really hard. Clothing is a nightmare. Living in Appalachia, I didn't know anything about clothing. We tried clothing, got beat. Tried clothing, got beat. The whole thing, clothing's not going to work because we've shut down the whole fashion industry in the United States. Shutting it down as fast as we can, other than these few customers that Barbara's finding, is really sad. Where we're going to see hemp come into us first is building materials. It is going to be the chairs, the composites. They're going to build things solid, massive things with hemp before we start building your newspaper or your all the things you're thinking about. But I encourage you to go out and see all the hemp products there. There are millions of them. And 25,000 of them anyway, and that was the standard that Popular Mechanics set in 1937 when it was doing its hip article about how the hemp revolution was going to change everything. This is right before DuPont moved in and took it away. And they said there are 25,000 products that can be made out of hemp. And I bet if you go out there and make a count, there's 25,000 products here now being made out of hemp. Problem is it's overseas. And until we kick ass and get these dinosaurs out of our way, we're stuck sitting on our hands here in America.
It's a sad state of affairs. For a lot of people, cannabis is a spiritual tool, or hemp. They come to it for different reasons. But when you come to it from an evidence-based perspective, this is the most frustrating fight for this plant right now, because there is absolutely no logical scientific reason to be forbidding this plant from being grown in the US, or certainly in Canada, restricting it the way that it has been. And you guys are doing just amazing work. When the Nazis decided to start burning books, they weren't burning books because they didn't like pages and they didn't like book covers, etc. They started burning books because they didn't like the ideas that were contained within. And I think that with industrial hemp, we see the same kind of thing. When you're forbidding industrial hemp, it has nothing to do with drug use or intoxication or the 15-year-old kids who are always being pointed to as to why we need to restrict this plant. It has everything to do with the idea, the concept, and the theories behind it, that this can be a plant that can actually, as you guys have said so eloquently, save the world, or at least help improve it a little bit. So thank you so much for the hard fight there, Don. For everyone up here, which brings us to Captain Steve Levine, who's been doing this battle for a very long time. And Steve, I look forward to hearing what you've got to say today, and I hope you're going to auction off that great cap, because God knows that's sweet.
It's on eBay, but yeah, I can
yeah, perfect.
Hi there, I'm Steve Levine, former president of the Hemp Industry Association, which is a non-profit industrial hemp trade association. We represent 200 or 300 companies, from retailers like Adam to manufacturers and importers like Barbara. And a little bit of good news, as Donnie was saying, it's so difficult to work in fiber because we have to go overseas, Europe and mostly China, and it is incredibly difficult, and of course increases the cost of the product, so it's hard to compete in the market. But the good news over the last decade is we are importing all of our oil seed products from Canada. And we can, in fact, the fastest growing segment of the hemp industry is the food and body care. Dr. Bronner's says all of its products have cannabis in it, and we get it all from Canada. It's certified organic as well as fair trade. So while the difficulties continue, we are making a lot of progress. And the Hemp Industry Association, known as HIA, has been at the forefront of this for many years now, 15 years or so. And Donnie brought in the first container ever to come into this country, and we've had some ups and downs, but we're really starting to take off. And next year it's going to be great. We're going to come out of the dark ages, I think, and actually have a discussion about industrial hemp. In California, we actually had a hemp farm bill get all the way to the governor's desk. It passed the state legislature in 06 and 07 fairly strongly, both times, about 2-1. And both years, Arnold vetoed the bill. But we got a lot of press from all the major papers, New York Times, LA Times, Wall Street Journal, as well as many, many local papers. And we're making a lot of progress. The other hat I wear is I also serve on the board of directors of the Vote Hemp, which is our lobbying nonprofit organization.